About politics, policies, leadership and governance in Nigeria and around the world. Join us every Mondays through Fridays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we engage and interact towards setting the agenda for proper accountability and public engagements. The Situation Room is here. We welcome the roommates.
I urge you to listen to Situation Room with Oᴏᴜᴜᴜ on mainland 98.3 FM from 4 to 5 p.m. weekdays. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, for every society to thrive, for every development to be effective, for every people-centered and people-oriented policies that the government brings on board to be functional and effective on the society, the most essential of all of these ingredients are to be security, the safety of lives and properties of these people. And in most cases, from Niger State to Plateau State to Zamfara State to Katsina to Benue, the biggest challenge that had caused constant insecurity along this state is certainly issues of resource control. So you ask yourself, why have we struggled so hard in the last few years to sort this huge problem that we have? They tell you that, oh, in Zamfara some bandits are protecting some gold mining. You look at Plateau State, there's the issue in Bokos and Barikin in respect to resource control. You look at Zamfara also, you look at Nasarawa, you look at Benue, the issue of cattle rearing and grazing reserve and all of this conversation. And so some people feel, well, if you don't give us in peace, we'll take it in pieces from you. And I remember after the 25th of December 2023 unfortunate killings in Plateau State, the governor of the state, His Excellency Governor Caleb Amufan, was on TV and he talked about the fact that if you want to collect land from the owners of the land, there are ways of doing it, there are constitutional ways of doing it. Rather than being forceful about it and killing them and throwing them out of their ancestral lands and making them internally displaced people in their own states. Well, you're welcome to the Situation Room live on Mina 98.3 FM. This program comes up on the airwaves every Mondays to Fridays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. And we get to talk about politics, we get to talk about policies of government, we get to talk about those things that helps our existence as a people. I would always talk about dividends of democracy. And some weeks back, when the very distinguished Dr. Mewazi Dandara joined us on the show, he talked about the fact that Nigerians should stop asking for dividends of democracy. Nigerians should start telling the government to allow them live, allow them prosper, allow them grow, allow them expand. And all of these can only be possible in an atmosphere of peace, in an atmosphere of security, and most especially in an atmosphere of justice. Today is Thursday. And the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper, Mr. Omiwa joins me every Thursday on the show to help us understand some of the challenges that have constantly faced us as a people. Some of them, the federal government seems to have lost ideas on how to solve them. The issue of insecurity, some of these things at the state level, the state government seems to be bereaved of ideas in solving some of these challenges. The issue of natural resources, most especially the issue of mining, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Upon the formation of the kitchen cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then the appointment of Honorable Minister for Mineral Resources, that's Dele Alake, a lot of us felt like, even though we've always known him to be someone within the media space, in fact, when we saw the list, we're trying to make permutations in respect to where each of the ministers may eventually, be served their portfolios. Everybody felt like, oh, the image maker of the government would certainly be dealing like it, but it got a very huge ministry that is supposed to. My friend said yesterday that the mining or the natural resources we have in this country, apart from oil, is enough to sustain and lead this country to prosperity. But there's been a lot of issues in respect to who controls these resources. The oil in Bayelsa, the oil in rivers, the oil in Ondo State, the oil in Cross Rivers. When those oil are exploited, where do they go to? Now, what happens to the gold in Zamfara? What happened to the gold in Nasarawa and Lafia? What happens to the bitumen in Enugu? What happens to some of these resources? Now, if you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, about 49 items are actually on the executive list. And part of these items is the control of the natural resources at the state. And that's one of the issues that have constantly led to conflicts, especially amongst non-state actors at the state level. Now, the unfortunate incident that happened in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, on Tuesday, that's day before yesterday, led to a lot of questions being raised. When the executive governor of the state, Governor Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ came out to say that the explosion was caused by dynamite from dynamite stored in an apartment by illegal miners. And so there's been a lot of conspiracies in respect to why would the governor of a state come talk about mining or illegal miners. And this is not just the governor Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ that have come to talk about it. The former governor of Plateau State, Simon Bakola Alonga, talked about it. The former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, had also talked about it. The former governor of Zamfara State, the current minister of state for defense, Bello Matawalle, has also talked about it. Virtually all of the states that have had issues with the resource control in the state had come out and said that, hey, the illegal miners in the state are causing these issues. Somebody will tell you that for you to mine the gold in Zamfara, the license to mine will be issued to you by the federal government. So is either on a percentage or a quota system, however way it's being done. The most important thing is that it is very difficult to remove that school of that ideology of the fact that, well, if we cannot have a share of the resources that is within our territory as a state, then we can find alternative means of getting them. We'll look at all of these issues extensively on the show today. The issue of resource control in the country. There's been a lot of issues being raised again in respect to the review of the constitution. Some have said, there's a lot of control that's been within the federal government, especially all of the 49 items. Part of it includes the license to carry arms, to bear arms in the country. It can only be issued by Mr. President, and it means that they must check your criminal record. They must check whether you've been convicted. They will check your mental health, your eyesight, how much range can you cover. That means the right to issue license is reserved for Mr. President. You also look at the issue of these natural resources, even borehole now, to dig all of these things. It has to come with a license from the federal. So is this a problem? Perhaps the powers that be at the state level feels if all of the resources are going to the federal, why don't we find a way to get a chunk of it and find it also that individuals that are not legally permitted to do this mining, to do this extracting these natural resources from people's land, are always going to be in the wrong place. You also look at the process of collecting this land. The government will say, we've discovered a large deposit of so and so mineral resources in this community, and we want to go into commercial exploitation of this thing. So the people and the owners of this ancestral land, we're going to give you so and so amount of money because we need your land. These are issues that have constantly caused conflict, especially at the state level. We'll also look at the rising security concerns in the FCT. There's so much on the menu today. Your life on Mainland 98.3 FM. This is the Situation Room. My name is Okoyemi Akiyode. Mr. Muyiwa Adeyemi is the head of political desk of Guardian newspaper. He joins me every Thursday on the show and is live with me in the studio. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good evening, listeners. I'm sure you are good.
I'm very good, and like I said, there's always that feeling of having your physical presence in the studio as against when we had to do the phone conversation. But I must always admit that it's always a rare privilege, when we get to do this every Thursday with the wealth of experience in coverage, in reportage over the last 30 years or more. It's always my pleasure to have you join us. So thank you very much for being with us on the show today. So let's get straight up into it. The unfortunate incident that happened in Oyo State that reportedly took the life of a few people and millions worth of properties destroyed, it opened the conversation the more in terms of the control of the resources that belongs to states. A lot of people that had advocated for restructuring had said, hey, let the state use the resources within their space to develop their state. If, for instance, there's gold in Zamfara, let the government of Zamfara exploit the gold in Zamfara, use the money to develop Zamfara. The oil in Bayelsa, the oil in Cross River, the oil in River State, the oil in Ondo State, the oil in Delta State, let them use these resources within their space to develop their state. So the question is this, Mr. Miwademi, when you heard the governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde, come talk on Tuesday night, saying that the explosion that happened was as a result of stored dynamite by illegal miners. So that means the governor just admitted that there are illegal miners in his state. And one of the things I understood about leadership and governance is you're not just governing over the people that voted you, even the ones that didn't vote you. My friend in union at the school level would always say you are even ruling over principalities and powers, seen and unseen forces. Exactly. How did you feel when the governor of Oyo State came out with that statement? Even though a lot of people have felt, that was too quick. I mean, perhaps there is information that had been within his knowledge that he didn't act upon. That unfortunate incident could have been avoided. How did that make you feel, Mr. Miwademi, that yet again we lost Nigerians that had no business dying?
Well, it's quite unfortunate. And we have to admit the fact that I think we have been sleeping on many things in this country. And when we're talking, you are talking about I think a resource control, which has been a major issue. I think that states control whatever God has deposited, at least on their lands, is not something new in Nigeria. Before we had the unfortunate coup of January 15, 1966, each region then, as it were, in Nigeria were controlling their resources. And when they were controlling their resources, I think they had a certain amount of money being paid into the federal account, in the federal pool, as it were, in other federal system of government. But with the military coup of January 15, 1966 and the counter coup, the military hierarchy now tasted the power and they wanted to use their unitary command system, I think, to rule a federal system of government. The country that is federal in nature in the sense that I want to be a Yoruba man, you can't change me from being a Yoruba man and still want to be in Nigeria. My friend Musa in Kano wants to be an Hausa man and at the same time be a Nigerian. My friend Chikafo, Chichido, wanted to remain an Igbo man. Felix wanted to remain an Igbo man. Even my wife is an Asian lady. Right, she wanted to remain an Asian lady and at the same time be a Nigerian. So what are we saying here is that I think we have to respect not only the ethnic groups but the identities, then the natural resources I think God has given to each community. And as we have seen, not only say as we have seen before, I think independence, before I think the military coup of 1966, each region were doing good. They were doing good, and they were kind of a healthy competition. So we heard of cocoa pyramid, granite pyramid in the north. And we heard of cocoa pyramid in the southwest. Do you understand? And the southeast was for oil and the commerce. So what the point I'm making is that each region were really they were in charge of their resources and they were making maximum use. Do you know about why they were developing these resources? And somewhere came somewhere and thwarted all this. Be as it may, people have been saying that why, because Nigeria discovered oil and all other governors by law were not even allowed, because of the federal government, by the 1999 constitution, which we inherited from 1976 as it were, which was one of the product of the military constitution, and that giving all the, I think, mineral resources of the land to the federal government. So in first instance, it made some of the governors very idle, because you get free money, and even whatever you have at your backyard there, so you can't develop it unless federal government came to do that. So I'm saying that if your state, no matter the kind of gold or your state is talking about in Igbeti, no matter the kind of uranium anybody is talking about, no matter what kind of what of bitumen you guys are talking about in Ondo, whatever the level of oil, I think Ogun might still be talking about in Tongeji, no matter, I think many mineral resources that you have in most parts of this country, people, the state government, local government, or people cannot go and explore them, because the exploration rights license belongs to the federal government. So if, as we were saying, we have this thing there, nobody is making use of them, do you understand? And these are money. So, and a governor, for instance, that has gold, but he dare not explore the gold for, I think, to raise IGR of his state. Certainly, how will you expect him to start going pursuing people illegally exploring that gold? It wasn't within his purview. Do you understand? And I will tell you, the police is the police that is in charge of the security, and the federal government is in charge of this police. It's the federal government that is in charge of Nigerian army. Even NDDC or the civil servant or whatever you're talking about, all these security agents are being controlled by the federal government, and the federal government that has the mineral resources. So if the federal government cannot protect what he has already hijacked from me, then what do you expect me to do? So that has been one of our major big problems we are having as a country. And everybody like you, I was shocked when the state government were also saying that the land of illegal miners living in the heart of Bodija, and they were saying maybe they are Malians or Senegalese. The people in that community knew them. They knew that they were illegal miners, but they were never concerned at the explosives being kept in a residential environment. It's quite unfortunate, but I'm not going to talk about the residents now. The question we are talking about, Adibim or your state is in charge of the minerals resources in his state. Certainly he will not allow illegal miners to come and do that. I don't want to easily subscribe to the fact that maybe governors are complicit, do you understand, in legal mining. I don't want to. But I can as well say, well, with the kind of constitution we are operating, it allows the governor, if he's not involved, to look other side to whoever is mining. What's his business there, right? What's his business? So that's the point you are making, that in Zamfara, the bandits we are talking about, the criminal elements we are talking about, they were illegal miners, came in to feast on the mineral resources in that area of the country that was not getting into the national coffer. Whereas everything we are getting from Bayelsa, everything we are getting from Port Harcourt, River State, everything we are getting from Delta State, everything we are getting from Akwa Ibom State and Cross River State, do you understand? They were directly being paid into the federal coffer. But what the gold being explored currently in Zamfara is not getting to the national coffer. But the point you are making is that Adibin, a Zamfara state governor, is directly in charge of the resources of the state. Will he allow illegal miners to come and feast on it? If the Plateau state governor, I think with the kind of gold or whatever they have in Plateau axis, if they are in charge of their resources, at least to use it to make IGR and pay certain percentage to the federal government, will he look elsewhere where they were exploring? Then if Makinde knows that I think with so much gold and natural resources is buried under the lands and the rocks and stones of Oyo State, that it could make as much as billions of naira from it, will he look elsewhere where people are coming from Mali, from Senegal, and they come and exploring these mineral resources? So it's quite unfortunate, and people have been fighting it, that we have to change the constitution. 30% derivation being given at least to the host communities where you explore is not enough. 1, 2, but even those who are exploring good, what about thousands or millions of mineral resources that are not explored presently, simply because of government? I challenge anybody. How many communities with these resources have felt the impact of the Federal Ministry of Mines? Do you understand that they are in charge of these beautiful and expensive resources? So they have been neglected. So we are sitting atop billions of naira, and because of our policies that seems to have that has concentrated everything at the center, at the expense of the locals and the states, so we could not make use of those resources. It's quite unfortunate for the country. And until I think President Tinubu, if you continue to go the same route, the story will be the same. But if we could take the bull by the horn and change this law, I think for the first time, change this law, heaven would not fall. You cannot, but in his speech, he said a section of the country cannot continue, I think, to play good boy, in quotes, right? And without corresponding response from the other end. So what would the point be that if the South is making so much contribution to the national pool,
then the other side, the North, should be doing the same.
And please, they should, but with little researches some experts have done, not me, they've told us that there's no state in the country that, if allowed to tap into their natural resources, that cannot survive. Some of this north we are talking about, the kind of land mass they have, they can feed a state, especially Niger State, with so much land mass, can feed the whole of Africa if you turn it to just a massive agriculture. But the lands are there being wasted,
unguarded, unoccupied.
So the more we allow all these things to continue untapped, all these roads to remain untapped, some foreigners will be coming to do that without respecting any law. Are they aware of these laws? Right. So if they are aware of these laws, somebody will not be keeping explosive in a residential area like Bodija in Ibadan. It's like talking of Ikoyi of Lagos. It's like, because if that's old Bodija, right? Old Bodija is as good as talking of Ikoyi of Lagos. This is how we have people that matter live before. People like Bola Ige. That's why some of them, the major people were living. That's where Akala's house. That's where Yoladoja's house. A stone thrown to the government house in Agodi. A stone thrown to the UI. A stone thrown to the UCH. So it's like it's like talking of Ikoyi of Lagos. So that's why we had this kind of accident took place, because we could not do exactly what we ought to do as a country. But we cannot continue to lament. The ball is now at the court of President Bola Tinubu to do what people have been yearning for since 1970s. So military made a mistake, but we cannot continue to weep or cry over a sport make. Then we have to take action now.
Now, thank you very much, Mr. Miwademi. You've actually opened the conversation of the more, but there are a lot of concerns in even some of the things that you have said.
Yeah,
it sounded like we are expected to make that excuse for the governors if they would look away and resources are illegally mined in their state because they are not in control of those resources. It is known that the governor of the state does not just govern the people alone.
Yes.
Everything is within your control. Even though we also admit that the security, the instructions is coming from the federal, but we've also seen situations where emergencies had come up and then the governor will have to sweep into action and make decisions just to save, the day and to remedy whatever situation that is coming up. But I've witnessed, or I've been to communities where, there's been attacks as a result of resource control. The people that are coming to attack them want to send the people away from those communities, take over those communities, and take advantage of whatever it is that they can exploit from those communities. But whose responsibility is it to ask these questions? Is it the government that are supposed to go to the federal government and say, you know what, there's a lot of money that are taken away from our state, and they will not come back at the end of the month with plates in our hands to come and beg for these resources that you actually pick from our state?
Yes.
On the other side, there is the place of the federal government that's saying that no, we don't want governors to be too powerful. We don't want governors to have access to too much money within their state. Perhaps again, it will make some states richer than some states. You cannot compare a state that has tin, for instance, compared to a state that has large deposit of gold, as we have in Zamfara at the moment. Whose responsibility is it to make that call for the change you talked about? Is it the president that's supposed to say, you know what, let the state control their resources, let them bring so and so percentage to the federal as we used to have? Or you think the government should do it? Because God forbid that what happened in Ibadan on Tuesday happened in Lagos. The level of casualty is not what we're talking about. And then will it be safe for us to still make excuse for the governors and say, well, the illegal minings can go on, since it is not within the purview of the governor to detect who get the license? Who is supposed to make this call, Mr. DME?
We are talking of the constitution here. It's not about the call. Because we are governing a state like Nigeria or anywhere, you do it according to the dictates of the constitution. The constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1979, we are operating as it is now. As when you are opening the discussion today, and you rightly have to take action, and we have the concurrent, we have residual. So when it comes to concurrent, we have both states, the states and the federal government that could do that. But it's not the business or the federal government to say if you allow states to control their resources, one state will be charged than the other. Fingers are not equal, but there's no finger that is not useful. In America, we know many states. That with no states that they cannot talk when the mega states are talking, but they are all Americans and they enjoy certain rights and privileges because they are Americans. Where we see that Lagos State up to now, I think recently we did a story where it was so obvious that the IGR of Lagos State, the 5 states of Southeast. I'm not talking of one. The 5 states of Southeast. I'm talking of Anambra. I'm talking of Enugu. I'm talking of Imo. I'm talking of Ebonyi. And I'm talking of Abia. The IGR is not up to 1/5 of what Lagos is making. So what I'm so if we are saying that let's say Lagos is making 10 naira and those 5 states are making 2 naira, one is not up to 1/5. The 5 states. But can we now say because we want to make the Lagos and that because they are states, the Lagos and Abia should be equal in resources? No, different states are differently endowed. But it is the time for Nigerians to now begin to look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. People have been saying most of the problems we are having is because of the faulty constitution that was imposed on Nigerians. Some people will tell you that what the problem we are having is not the content of the constitution but the implementers. But my brother, and many people have argued, which I strongly believe, that as I said, bring a saint, even with what Margaret Thatcher achieved in Britain with a big bang, bring her to Nigeria. I think she will fail, Because if you try to do what is not, you do know number of cases against federal government from states, and you know the kind of cases the cases the federal government also is against states, simply because one is trying to violate the details of the constitution. So the constitution says all these minerals belongs to the federal government. What do we expect the state government to do? Unless it wanted to be illegal, wanted to act illegally, and which is going to be unfortunate. So what? Some of them, I'm telling you, they try to look elsewhere where some things are happening in their state because not within their purview. And as I said, the excuse is there for him. Well, the mineral resources, those minerals belong to the federal government. Good. It's federal government that controls Nigerian police. Good. It's Nigerian police. It's the federal government that controls Nigerian army. Good. It's Nigerian army. It's the federal government that controls the civil defense. Good. So what's my own in it? So if it's my property, I think that have been given to me, I will know how to protect it. But it's not mine, though it's mine naturally. But somebody, and they believe me,
is in charge.
But believe me, some people, so they saw federal government and not supper. You understand? To them, that what federal government is morally wrong. So when somebody, where it can be legally right, but morally wrong, right? But the someone federal government is doing as morally right, that you cannot defend it. How somebody in Abuja, they never knew what I had my resources, made a law, at least to control it. So if I found a gold, at least in my family property, my family village now, I cannot exploit it. Yet I won't farm there again because gold will not allow me to farm. Yet I can't make money out of it because you said somebody from Abuja
has to be in charge.
Has to be in charge of the gold in my father's land. So if you are farming now, you just eat oil. Immediately the place is no longer yours, belongs to someone else. The more we continue with this, the more we may not get the right attitude from Nigerians, and that has been affecting us. Most Nigerians, I think they did not see Nigeria project as theirs, because they believe that the federal government, the system is not fair to them, and while we expect people to be fair to the Nigerian government, they look elsewhere, and that's affecting. It's affecting not only our economy, but it's affecting our security.
Now, let me pick it from the last line, which is affecting our security, because it's almost like this situation is a lawless situation now.
Yes.
You talked about the fact that the federal government is in charge of these resources, and the federal government is obviously not administering these resources well. So anybody comes in, and the state governments look away because it is not my duty to give you license. So even if you bring a license from Abuja that you've been allowed or you've been given license to mine or to exploit some of those resources, it is not the government responsibility to confirm that license. It is the federal government. I'm talking about the state government now.
Yes.
But you look at the 68 items on this executive legislative list, and then you look at the issue of the control of the prisons, the control of the immigration, the control of, in fact, literally everything that holds this country together is on this exclusive legislative list. 68 items.
Yes.
Mr. Muyiwa,
Yeah.
are we going to fold our hands and allow things to go on this way? Many times, communities that have been affected by terrorists or invaders that come out to say that, oh, we reached out to the police and the police said they were waiting for order from above before they respond. That order is under the exclusive legislative list. Oh, we have resources in our state is poor. I mean, I've been privileged to be to Zamfara once, and that was before COVID-19. And one of the things that I saw in that state is that you can literally see money on the street of Zamfara because of what you have and the idea you have that the resources they have in Zamfara. But for every person you look at in Zamfara, you can see poverty.
Sure.
So it's a case of, living poor in the midst of plenty.
So the indigents, as I've said, they are poor, right?
Yes.
But some people, illegal miners, are coming to mine their gold. Do you understand? They will see helicopter coming, taking I think a gold worth millions of naira away, just like that. So the people in the states are poor, but the resources for them to survive is there.
So now that's where I want us to stretch it to. Are we going to have the end to the control of this or the influence of these non-state actors? Because an illegal miner is not a state actor. The constitution does not recognize. As long as you're illegal, that means you're not doing the things within the confines of the law. But the governor of the state had come out to admit that, oh, these are illegal miners. I've seen the former governor of Benue State come talk about, oh, illegal this and that. I've seen the former governor of Plateau State, Senator Simon Bakola come talk about illegal miners. Even the current governor of Plateau State has also come talk about the resource control issues. The former governor of Kaduna State had also talked about it. Bello Matawale, the former governor of Zamfara State, had come to talk about it. The former governor of Niger State, former governor Bello, had come to talk about it. So everybody admits that these people are mining illegally. You are putting the life of the people of your state at risk, because when this conflict happens, they don't go to Abuja to attack the people that are giving them the mining licenses. They are coming to the people that owns these ancestral lands. And whether you like it or not, one of the things that people revere the most in life is their ancestral lands. Whether they know that there are resources on it or not. This land belongs to my forefathers. Gave it to my grandfather gave it to my father gave it to me. I'm also going to give it to my child.
Yes.
Have we lost the control of resource management in this country?
I'm going
to ask you again, in line to that question. I read a piece a couple of years back. I really can't remember where it came from, but it was talking about whether the resources we have is a cost to us or is a blessing that we did not know how to manage. Have we lost the control over the resources that we have, Mr. Mewadiemi?
Well, it's quite unfortunate. As people, we have lost it, but it's not over, because we can still recover it back. But as government, here now, government seems to have hijacked the resources. Are they using it for the benefit of Nigerians? At least your answer is as good as mine, right? But the people have been saying is that we are not only a country. We have many countries in our similar, that share the same culture, background, environment, even system. But they allow a system which allows people, at least to explore the resources, even to think more than what's available. Necessity is the mother of invention. And because of the oil, as you have said, before Nigeria discovered oil, Nigeria was never a poor country. Nigeria had not discovered oil when Awolowo built the National Stadium that I think that was then competing very well with Wembley Stadium. When Awolowo started Western Nigerian television, about 8 European countries, including France, Finland, have not got television station that people in Ibadan, in Abeokuta, in Oyo have been watching television. UCH used to be, I think, a medical tourist center. And the last time I was there to see the CMD, I saw where emir of Saudi, the head of Saudi, came for treatment, and many from Africa coming for treatment. Many African of states. This is our UCH. Nigeria yet to discover all that time. There are many things happening in the East. If you see kind of what the legacy Michael Okpara left in many industries, left in the East, you'll be marveled. Some of them are now rotting away, sort of becoming. For instance, look at the presidential hotel you have in Onugu. Exactly the same thing in Rivers State, Port Harcourt. The one in Rivers State is still making money for the people giving people job, but the one in Enugu has become moribund. So also ceramic companies, just to mention few. Now you begin to wonder, before Nigeria discovered oil, people were doing better. Even people, the Western region civil servants were earning far higher than federal workers. But immediately Nigeria discovered oil, and it came at the wrong time, where the military were the one in control of it. Other African countries or other countries in the world that got that gold, black gold, they use the resources to develop all other sectors and give themselves a better country. But what do we hear in Nigeria? Oh, we have money, but how to spend it is our problem. So we begin to spend this money on unproductive sector without thinking of tomorrow. What did Nigeria gain from first tax 77? And if you know how much money sunk, forget the building that, yes, we say some people are occupying now, those that become a ghetto. Go and imagine the millions of naira spent at least to host all the oil doors, whatever, in Nigeria. So the oil now, instead of oil to be a blessing to Nigeria, it made the states, the regions, the leaders to become indolent. They were no longer creative. So nobody wanted to work again because free money just was coming from somewhere.
It's a windfall. And then what do we get? Every month, you see governors going to Abuja or sending their commissioners of finance to go to fact meeting where they argue, this is how much we made. No, this is not. After the end of the day, they agree. Do you understand? So they share money. After sharing the money, the governor, yes, the money has come. Right? So the governor also will continue to share money. Do you understand? Those who could send elsewhere will do. So, but this is a governor that had never thought of how to generate money from his own state. So they are just like somebody. Governance now become something anybody can do, because I don't know what they are doing. You receive money from Abuja, you distribute it to whoever you want to give. Right? That's what they are doing. So that's why you see some states, their IGR cannot buy fuel for their government house in a month. You cannot maintain the government house. So it's not a shame to that governor, but simply because we run a system that allows for that. If our state knows that we are in the same system of government, Bayelsa is making money from his oil, would Makinde not know how to make money from these natural resources that are being wasted away? If Lagos know that Bayelsa is making so much money from his own resources, won't Lagos do more from making more money, and from his sea advantage position for commerce? But what do we see? We see a situation where that Lagos State is making, I think, about 60 or 65% of the whole VAT for the whole country. But there was a point in time, I don't know now, that Kano is sharing more, at least in VAT money, than Lagos State. Whereas in Kano, you don't drink beer. And part of the VAT being shared is a tax from alcohol.
From alcohol. So they take money, at least the profit from beer that they don't consume. And we not see anything wrong in that.
Irony.
No, we are not seeing anything. We have not seen anything wrong in that. You know what I'm saying? So we are not. So no, it's not that states are now thinking of what they are contributing to natural resources, to the national purse. But everybody is now, what can we get from the national purse? And that's one eroded the sense of patriotism, the competition that's needed for the country to grow. So if only I'm getting every month, it's not that way. I'm thinking of what do I do to make Nigeria great? What do I do to contribute to the resources of this country? What do I do to develop my environment? Do you understand? And create money for my environment. But all I think about is how will I play politics to outsmart my neighbor in Ogun State to get more money from the federal allocation. So everybody is looking at the center, and because we are all looking at the center, so nobody is thinking of the gold most of these governors are sitting on. As quite unfortunate. So this thing will continue, and that's why we are saying President Tinubu has been the vanguard of people talking of restructuring. President Tinubu, before he became president, has been the vanguard of people talking of physical federalism. President Tinubu has been in the vanguard. Even I'm aware is a relationship with many NGOs, many pro-democracy organizations, talking of review of this 1999 constitution to reflect the federal system we are operating. Only yesterday, Agbakoba, one of our foremost legal luminaries, was saying that it costs nothing to change the constitution, that you don't have to call a constituent conference. And the gentleman said that a lot of people are angry with Nigeria, but because by the time we are talking before this amalgamation 1914, they were owners of this country, and the traditional rulers, the people that matters, none of them were involved in the setting. You understand of the constitution we are talking about? So they were not involved. So Nigerians are now looking as their own constitution, not our constitution, and that's why I think the man was saying simply that he is adopting WH theory that we can replace this constitution by the federal by the act of parliament, and which Nigeria did in 1963 when we became a federal republic of Nigeria. When we became a republican, the independence constitution was changed. They didn't call a constitutional conference. They are not going to do that. So this constitution must be changed, and Nigerians of every ethnic groups should be invited. Let them have input how they want to be governed. We can negotiate. Yes, you can say let Nigeria be one, but we can negotiate how we want to live, and that must be negotiated. As I said at the beginning of this conversation, I want to remain a Yoruba man and still Nigeria, and let my friend Musa remain a Fulani man and still Nigerian. But we should know our boundary. And to me, each time I travel to north, I travel to northwest, where I think all my Lagos mentality, I drop it at the airport because I know I'm in another territory. In Lagos, I wouldn't imagine somebody driving me and say, "Okay, without taking apology, we just park
to pray,
to go and pray." I grew up in an environment where I've never seen that.
It happened to me.
But each time I travel there, I prepared for that. Because I know I've left Lagos. So when Musa is also coming from from Kano to Lagos, let him know that it's coming to Lagos.
There are no driver will stop for you at 2 o'clock to pray.
There's no driver will stop for you at 2 o'clock to pray. Do you understand? That is mutual respect. If I'm in Kano, I behave as they were doing there. If I go to Ijo, I think I behave as they do there. So if I travel to let's say to Benin, I adopt whatever they are doing there. Not only their food, I adopt it. But I will now want to come to my territory, do you understand, and say, do you understand, you won't recognize that they're coming to my territory. Please, in America, your driver license in California, you won't drive with it in Texas.
It's not valid in Texas.
Do you understand? Say, I'm not going to drive license. So there's some other laws like that. Do you understand? Yet it's the same country. It's the same country. There are some things you can do in Texas easily, but my brother, if you go to Arizona and try it, do you understand? At least you'll find yourself in prison.
I mean, it's public knowledge. Even some of the laws, they will tell you that in Texas, same-sex marriage is not legal. In California, sales of marijuana is not legal. In this and in other states within the country.
To California, you see this same-sex marriage
is legal.
I think I have a friend in Oakland. I think as long as 15 years I was there. Do you understand? I saw what I think that even it has become a kind of a part of life over there. What I'm talking here now. Oakland is one of the towns in California. Do you understand what I'm saying? But in Nigeria, we are different people, whether we like it or not. We are not the same. We can never be the same. I cannot think like a Hausa man, and that's the truth. So everybody thinking is bringing a system that will make me think like a Hausa. It will not work. If you're not bringing a system that will make my friend Aliu to think like me, he's making a mistake. But we can be in the same country, identify and appreciate our differences, and still live together in diversity. We stand.
Interesting conversation. I remember the first time I experienced the prayer thing. I was going in company of a team to Kano, and then the moment we got to Tᴜnūwàdà is the first local government into Kano when you're coming in from the Bauchi-Gombe axis, and I think it was around 3:55 or thereabouts, and then the driver just parked, and then I was myself and the other team member were looking at each other like, Oga, what happened? And so the lady beside us, the tour guide, just told us that, it's the regular tradition, they want to pray. And we did that twice on that trip.
Yes.
They stopped at Tᴜnūwàdà. When we got to Kano Municipal around 4, yes, they also stopped.
Yes.
And there's nothing you want to do about that.
They won't take excuse.
They did not.
It's part of them.
They didn't tell us. They just parked and then we waited till they
If I
finished.
to share my experience with you in Gida right, in Katsina State, I mistakenly slapped Almanjeri. I was almost lynched as a UCO member. We had gone for, I think, a screening exercise. I think maybe for census or for election in one village since 5 a.m. where we could not get the water to drink. And we go to this place called Gida by 4 p.m. only to buy food. As I was about eating the food, some other people that sat at the other end wanted to pass. I just shifted for them to pass. Before I knew what was happening, about 10 dirty ants
entered your food.
Entered my food. I'd never seen that happening. Do you understand? I slapped one of them. It was close to a garage. And before I knew, some guys just came and said, "Why do you have to beat Almanjeri?" I said, "Didn't you see what he did with my phone?" So. I said, "Okay, how much of food?" They wanted to pay for the food, but the woman, they could not speak English clearly. But the woman that sold food for me was an Igbo lady. The lady told me in Yoruba that that please run away, they will kill you. And immediately, they said they will have a prayer. Do you understand? For 1 minute. To declare fatwa on me. Do you understand? Then I'm gone.
So you're only safe within the minute of that prayer.
While the regular prayer is through the window, I escaped and ran for almost 3 kilometers to where the soldiers and the other officers became were gathered. Because I think once they followed me to the place, but those soldiers made them to understand the reason why they should not do that. Right? But if I've never seen it that I will be eating, those will allow people to pass, and my food was taken away like that, and they have killed me. So, but now I learned. After that one, I learned that that's the culture there. So each time I was going there, even if I want to dress for you, well, if I have to use in public anyway, then I will carry that food.
Hold it till the person will pass.
With drink, the person will pass. But that is the system there. So if you don't want to leave it, don't go there. If you don't want to, no, if you want to, you can't change it, right? But that's what talking of our diversity. Do you understand? Our culture is different. Our way of thinking is different. Our outlook is different. Our gender. You know what? In those core community. Tell them instead of building a first class university that could rival what do you call it, Oxford.
Tell them we want to sponsor them on pilgrimage.
Want to build a mosque.
They will prefer you building a mosque.
They will prefer you build a mosque. Tell them that, boy, okay, we want to go to moon. We want to go to Saudi. Do you understand?
Saudi Strait.
Saudi Strait. Do you understand? But we can't begrudge them.
Mm-hmm.
That is their way of life, and they have every right to live it. But my way of life, allow me to live, and don't stop me from flying to the moon because somebody has not seen the reason to go to the moon. That's probably in the country. So they are holding some section of the country back for us to catch up with them. No, and that's one of the major problems we have in the Southwest here. Had it been when in the 70s, the Southwest was better than Malaysia. In the 70s, all these countries we are talking about, United Arab Emirates, who among them can compete favorably with Southwest? None. Many European countries could not rival with Western region. None. Most of the European countries could not. Is that not the time that Nigeria, you don't need visa to go to London? You get entry visa at the point of entry. How many Nigerians want to go and stay in England? For what reason? With the cold, with the environment, with the kind of racism you express there? How many? They were the one coming here. They were the one coming to our universities. They were the one coming to use our facility. But deliberately, because of this wrong policy, that you don't allow regions to continue to develop at their own pace. You don't allow for any competitions among them. You hold on to their resources. How you hold on to my resources? I will say using it or allowing it to be wasting away, and want me to still guide it for you. You're asking for too much.
Well, I think the conversation ended where it started, and your line is very clear. How would you be holding on to my resources? I'm not benefiting from it. I'm not using it to develop my state, and you still want me to guide it and protect it. I mean, I think this conversation is just, I think we just broke the ice on this talk, and maybe next week Thursday would open it more. But we need to take some break now. We need to take the headline news by 5 o'clock, and we also need to pay some bills. But by 5:05, the Situation Room returns. I have the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper with me in the studio, and we've discussed extensively the issue of resource control in this country. How long are we going to constantly admit that we have illegal miners in our state, and they are milking the state, and they are doing it illegally? Well, just keep your dial locked on Milan 98.3 FM. We take the headline news by 5 o'clock, pay some bills, then we'll come back, we'll open the phone lines, then now you join the conversation. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. Rock the time. Rock the groove. It's music extravaganza, where the beat gets hotter. Mainland 98.3. Baby, let's go. The sound of Lagos.
Headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM.
Good evening, headline news on 98.3 Mainland FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. Troubles for ex-CBN Governor Emefiele as federal government amends fraud charges. Court grants Emefiele permission to travel out of Abuja. Ibadan explosion death toll rises to 5. Supreme Court dismisses ADC's appeal, set Friday to rule on PDP case against Yahaya. Electricity subsidy rises to 1.6 trillion naira as discos raise tariffs. On the foreign scene, at least 9 killed as Pakistan launches strike into Iran. Japan Airlines appoints ex-flight attendant as first female president. In sports, Pesero says Iheanacho fit ready to face Côte d'Ivoire in AFCON 2023. That's the headline news on Mainland FM. Details at 5:30.
Yo, Nigeria, wake up. They say make hay while the sun shines, so it's wise to link your NIN to your Airtel line ASAP. Big Brother isn't watching your phone calls, but the NIN police are, so don't be the housemate voted out of your network. NIN registration is not a joke. No NIN, no network. It's not a maybe, it's blocked. There's no calls, no data, no flexing online, no Instagram, no X, nothing. You'll be a ghost. But hold up, don't stress. You have the power to avoid being disconnected. Dial *346# and boom, your 11-digit NIN pops up like magic. Now link that bad boy to your Airtel line with *996# and you are safe and will not be blocked unawares. So what are you waiting for? This isn't the time for I'm going to do it tomorrow, because tomorrow might be too late. Don't be the last one standing on the wrong side of the network firewall. Dial those codes, link your NIN and keep your Airtel line buzzing this new year. And if you do get blocked, don't panic. Just walk into any Airtel store with a valid ID and your NIN slip and you will be reconnected. The process is user-friendly and can be completed swiftly. Dial *346# and link your Airtel number by dialing *996#. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Link your Airtel number to your NIN today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Hey there, tech enthusiasts! Get ready to ignite your world with the all-new Tecno Spark 20.
That's right! The Spark 20 with its stunning display and powerful features is here to redefine your smartphone experience.
We've also partnered with Google and MTN to bring you even more. With the Spark 20, Google apps and loads of free MTN data, your digital life just got smarter and more connected.
Grab your Tecno Spark 20 today and step into a world where style meets technology.
Tecno, stop at nothing.
Official partner of the Africa Cup of Nations 2023.
What takes a plate of jollof rice to the next level of goodness? Is it when it is cooked with no seasoning cubes for that sumptuous taste? Or when you serve it with correct Nigerian salad, cabbage, carrot, lettuce, and a bit of kidney beans?
It's both. Season your jollof with the rich taste of Knorr cubes and serve with plenty of vegetables. So, go ahead and elevate your meals. Today, eat for good.
Yo, Nigeria, wake up! They say make hay while the sun shines. It is wise to link your NIN to your Airtel line ASAP. Big Brother isn't watching your phone calls. The NIN police are. Don't be the housemate voted out of your network. NIN registration is not a joke, fam. No NIN, no network. It is not maybe, it is blocked. Yes, blocked. No calls, no data, no flexing online, no Instagram, no X, nothing. You'll be a ghost. But hold up, don't stress. You have the power to avoid being disconnected. Dial *346#. Boom! Your 11-digit NIN pops up like magic. Now link that bad boy to your Airtel line. Dial *996#. Bam! You are safe. You won't be blocked unaware. So, what are you waiting for? This isn't that time for I go do am tomorrow. Tomorrow ain't be too late. Don't be the last one standing on the wrong side of the network firewall. Dial those codes, link your NIN, and keep your Airtel line buzzing this new year. And if you get blocked, don't panic. Walk into any Airtel store with a valid ID and your NIN slip. You won't be reconnected. Don't be a bad boy. Dial star 346 hash. Boom. NIN pops up. Dial star 996. Boom. Link your Airtel to your NIN.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM.
Okay, thank you very much for still staying with us in the Situation Room, live on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We're really gradually getting to the home stretch, and we'll now open the conversation for you to call. I've been seeing all of your calls. Don't worry, I will take as much as we can take on the show today. I have with me in the studio the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper, Mr. Adeyemi. He joins me every Thursday, and of course he's here with me today. We've looked at the issue of resource control. How much more should the government do? And then this, when we say the government, is majorly at the federal level. I mean, you look at the 68 exclusive list, legislative list, and you look at some of the items on that list, even the prison control, license or granting license to mining, granting license to bear arms as a citizen. All of these control are centered around the authority of the federal government. So even the police, the immigration, the prison, it's a lot of problem. And people had come out to say that unbundle these things, decentralize, dissolve this power a little bit. Let the states control their resources. Let them use their resources to develop their own state, and mandate it for them that, hey, at the end of every month, rather than what the 13% derivation the government is paying, the state should be paying maybe 30% to the federal. I mean, there's so much wealth to go around in this country. Like my friend Obina said yesterday, he said, if you remove oil, that the resources that we have in terms of natural resources in this country is enough to make this country better than what Dubai is today. But hey, it's interesting to know that less than 10 Africans have more money than over 700 million Africans. That should disturb you. That should worry you. Well, it's time for you to join the conversation. I can't forget a particular experience I had. I think it was during build up to the 2015 election. There was a sensitization program that was going on in Bauchi State, and I followed a team that I was working with then under the IRC. And when we got to that community, one of the things that was told to us is that, this place, they know the number of people in that place, so they don't need to vote. They just come to that place and they tell you that, this is the number of people that will vote there. They don't need to bring ballot, because the road is quite difficult. I mean, to navigate the topography was really difficult. We had to trek a really long distance. So I asked the person we were working with, how did they vote? How did they exercise their franchise? Here they don't even need to vote. They will tell you that, there are 600 people in this community, and all of the members of this community are voting for party A, and that is the law. I'm like, well, we're in Nigeria, and I just hope that we get it right one of these days. Now it's time for you to join the conversation. Mr. Adeyemi has said a lot, and top of the list is the fact that every state rather, we need to grow at its own pace. We need to grow at its own resources, and there's no way you can take the legitimacy of the resources within my state away from me, and you still expect me to protect that resources. So if you told me that I'm not in charge of the gold in my state and illegal miners are coming to mine it, I'm just going to fold my hands as the governor of the state and allow them have their ways. But again, there are consequences to such. The people in your state are at risk. They will be killed. Their lands will be taken away from them, and there's nothing the government will do. Neither would the state government be able to do anything also. Well, I'm inviting you to join the conversation. Don't forget to go on our social media platforms, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM, and of course on X, formerly Twitter, mainland 983, on Instagram and YouTube, mainland 983. Please don't call the other line. It's strictly for messages. The one you should call is 0913-600-0410. The one for messages is 0913-600-0430. Let's talk. Hello, good evening.
Hey, hello.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
Good evening. I'm Austin calling from Ojo. I'm from Amur.
Okay, you're welcome.
You
said Austin from Amur?
Yes, from Amur. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm still at work, sir. Your guest, he spoke fantastic. He spoke well. I really enjoyed his speech. I've been clamoring because I knew there's no gainsaying that one center cannot rule or cannot control every state in Nigeria. One center, and that has been our challenges for years. Example now, on Tuesday you raised the issue of housing, and I give a suggestion that when you look at the suggestion that I make on Tuesday was similar to what your guest is saying. So each region needs to control its resources, because if each region control its resources, it will help that region to know the amount of population that dwell in that region. Sincerely speaking, we don't know the population that we are. Even in Nigeria, we are only projecting. So let the government use this measure to centralize it and say, okay, for now on, let each region control the resources, and let them go to that law and break it up. And that's what we happen.
Thank you very much, Austin. 0913-600-0410. I already said I was not going to pick call on 0430. Please, it's just for messages. Yes, please, let's just go straight to the point and keep our conversation as brief as we can. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. It's Pastor Badamosi.
Okay, Pastor Badamosi, you're welcome.
Yes, I listened to your guest, Mᴜɪᴜ BM. Hello?
I'm with you, Pastor Badamosi.
Yes, he said well, but I have a reservation in the sense that when you talk of oil exploration, it's huge. The money is huge. So they kind of arrange a country whereby nobody will be left out. The Northerners, they won't be left out in development. They have a lot of problems like education and the rest of them. If we say now, because oil is exploited in the south or delta, and then let the deltans, the Niger deltans, have it and give some money to the center, I think it can never work. It will never work. The best arrangement is what we are having now, but they can still work on the mines, the gold mines, the mineral mines, and the rest of them, so that they can also give to the center. You see, the oil is being exploited in the Niger Delta, and the money is for the whole country. They share the money. But when we see diamond somewhere, we see bitumen somewhere, we see, let the federal government have a control on the exploration.
Thank you.
Not to the hands of illegal people.
Thank you very much. I think the issue of control would always be at the front burner. But then, what are the intentions behind the control? That's the question. If you say you're controlling the resources, to whose interest? Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
Hello.
You're welcome. Your name and where you calling from?
Yes, my name is Dapo Ajibo. You're calling for Abulega.
Okay, Mr. Dapo, good to have you.
Yes, I've listened to your guest and I love his analysis. Very correct. I don't disagree with him, but I just have a few contributions. Number one is that I want to believe that the operators of our constitution are the major problem. 60%, 70% of the problem are the operators of the constitution. The constitution we have now, if it is well operated, we will still enjoy. We may not get to where we are supposed to get to. So that is my belief. That's number one. Secondly, how do we change this constitution? I'm telling you, if I'm in a position, within a month I will change this constitution. How will I do it? I will first of all give House of Assembly that, okay, let Nigeria be able to do referendum. Because there is no place in our constitution that shows that you can do referendum now. That is the first law I will ask them to pass. I will send the executive bill to them. Let Nigeria be able to do referendum. After that one is gone, and I will now ask Nigeria through that referendum, do you want 1963 constitution or this present constitution? 1963 constitution with a minimum amendment or this present? Let Nigeria decide. Once they say that within a week, the election officers, INEC or whatever, they counted and they say we want 1963 constitution. That is all. It's not a big deal. Then they will just do a little amendment where you have regions, then you cannot want them to stay. And that is all. So
thank you.
Where we are, the problem is the operators, the operators of the constitution. That is the major problem, not the constitution itself.
Thank you.
So look at what happened in Ondo. Are you telling me Akeredolu is not learned? Or the people that surround him they are not learned? That what you're supposed to do is to transmit letter to give power to the deputy. Why is it difficult for them to do?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, tomorrow we'll have a guest, but we'll try and keep it as brief as it can be with a guest, as I want us to really have this conversation on resource control. Mr. Muwademi has said a lot on the show today, and I know many people want to respond to that. Fashion or Mayowa, okay, you asked the question. Well, beyond Facebook and YouTube, you can also listen to us live on Radio Garden. I just search for Milan 983 on Radio Garden. You get here. Onotoye Michael says, let's call a spade a spade. The reason kidnapping keeps rising is because of the massive looting on the part of the politicians and the government appointees, which these kidnappers can see and hear. The reason everybody is praying to become a politician, the minister or work in government GC offices, is just to loot the treasury too. Once we can have a capital punishment for looters, every other crime would drastically reduce. And I also want to use this medium to call and inform Governor Sanwo-Olu that the contractor handling Ijagemo Road around Ijegun Ikoto has abandoned the road project. The governor should please intervene quickly now that we're in the dry season so that the road construction can be completed. God bless Nigeria. God bless you too. Temitope Onotoye from Ijagemo community. Alice Obeta says, good evening. The notorious are the VIPs in all the states. Illegal miners, governors, and ministers. Dele Alake should save us from the wrong leaders. Okay. Albert Onilola, thank you. Dayo Dada, I got your message as well. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good to have you join us today.
Yeah, very much. My name is Madam Bello. I'm calling from Shell.
You're welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kayode, I'm forgetting your name. I'm sorry about that.
My guest, Mr. Muwademi.
The question I want to ask is very.
Hello, Madam. Oh dear. I would appreciate if you can call back 0913-600-0410. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Okoyemi.
Good to have you, Prince Wise.
Thank you, my dear. My name is Prince Wise, calling you from Amuwodofe.
You're welcome.
Thank you, my dear. You see,
in this country today, where the sense of the country have opportunity, they utilize it in their favor. And that is what is happening in this country today. Now, we are unitary government before 1966 coup. Look at that coup. The coup created a lot of problems in this country. It brings ethnicity into the country, tribalism into the country, the young bigotry into the country. Now, the military over there, only single man, right Decree 34, that bring us to the unitary condition we are in now. Now, maybe the man is still alive, but now we are not trying now. Let us control our resources. Let us go back to the region where the other side is for the other side now. They don't want us to go. And I think to go back to this thing you are talking about, I'm telling you, it's a very great task that maybe we may not be able to. But in everything, we turn it to tribalism. I know it's very clear. A state governor control his own state. The money given to you from Abuja, the representatives are given to you from Abuja. How do you spend it? So for me, our problem today is corruption, ravaging the federal, ravaging the state and local. If we can play away with the corruption, the state with the fellow with the money they have, the local with the federal as well as federal government.
Thank you,
so for me, to go back to that thing we are yearning for now, it's a very great task to accomplish. Good evening to you.
Thank you very much, Prince Wise. 09136000410. Don't forget, you can also reach us on our social media platforms. We've got loads of text messages here. Let me read a few. My name is Kayode from Ikorodu. Your guests have spoken really well. Some regions are scared of the development of other regions. Until we take their minds away and understand that we can all not be the same, Nigeria would not make progress. God bless your station. We are waiting for 6 o'clock. Yes, Mainland 98.3 FM will be running a live broadcast of the all-important African Cup of Nations game between Nigeria and Ivory Coast by 6 o'clock. So don't miss that for anything in this world. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Pen.
Hello, you're welcome. Your name and where are you calling from?
Ayo from Oba.
Okay.
I listened to our guest. He spoke very well. But we have to remember, we don't have the platform for every state to run on their own. We don't have that platform. We don't have platform to pay subsidies. We went into it. What did we get? We got a bloody nose from there. When you want every state to be running on their own, if I hold my landlord, electricity service, water service, I also have working platform. This census, all this federal. If we don't have the platform, if we go in there, it will be disastrous. It's going to be a disaster. That is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you.
What our guest said, yes, that is the way it should be. But first, we have to put the platform in place.
Thank you.
NIN should be given to every child when they are born because it's only for citizens. Are they giving it to every child born in Nigeria today? No. So it is this NIN that will be tied to everything. Your job, your education, your car, your house, your health, your electricity bill, so that anywhere you go to the federal government can say, look, you are coming from, you are owing them there, you are owing your landlord, go first, go and pay them before you can come here.
Thank you.
So first of all, let's put the platform in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll press for time, and that's why I said, yes, there's open forum, but tomorrow I will try and just pull that space out. I know a lot of us want to talk about the housing deficits that we have, especially in Lagos. I had a lot of calls after the show on Tuesday that we didn't have enough time to talk about it, and also this issue of resource control. But I will really need to go. Mr. Miwadeyemi, it's been a very strong conversation today, and whether we like it or not, the issue of true federalism, the issue of dissolution of powers, the issue of looking at the 68 items on the exclusive legislative list constantly comes back to our faces. in a minute, how much do you think the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu need to prioritize the issue of constitutional review?
Well, I think it should be one of his topmost priorities. And if he really wanted to write his name in gold in Nigeria, he should do that. But whatever any reform is doing now without constitutional backing is like building a castle in the air. So I urge him to use his political powers, I think, to do that. It's one of in the manifesto and of APC's party. Even apart from it was clearly put there. The committee, the party set up El-Rufai committee on restructuring on true federalism. That report is gathering dust. It's only for him to dust that document and make some executive bills out of it. And yes, and to the National Assembly, which I'm sure might scale through. So he needs that reform as soon as possible, because it's building a weak structure, and I don't think how you can build a superstructure on a weak structure. So Nigeria is standing on a very weak structure that cannot take a bungalow, and the man has a dream of building a skyscraper.
Thank you very much to the chief political editor of Guardian newspaper, Mr. Muyiwa. He joins us every Thursday, so you need to make it the day with us. Next week Thursday, God sparing our lives, he's going to be back into the studio. We run a live broadcast of the game between Nigeria and the host nation, Ivory Coast. Bad one for Nigeria, by the way. We draw our first game, and then 6 o'clock, 98.